That's okay. Just 4 pounds.
Who has the info email for Yonkers idea? Back to the info, like the info at Yonkers idea. Where does those emails go?
Oh, it comes to us directly.
Do you know? Do you have it now or no?
The sign in, you mean?
Yeah.
Um,
I don't need to sign it actually. I just need
Hi, Pete. How are you?
Hi, how are you, Mike?
Doing well, thank you.
Hi, Pete.
Hello.
And where have I seen you before? Are you okay, Pete? What's going on?
Oh, not much, Cecile, not much.
Well, the same with everybody. Are
Yeah.
you still up at your winter house?
No, I'm in Yonkers right now.
Oh, you are. Okay.
Hi, Cecile. Hey, Pete. Mike.
Hi, how are you,
Hi.
Henry?
Hi, Henry. How are you?
Hey, how are you?
Hello.
Where have
Good,
I
thank you.
It's nice to see you all. So, Henry, what's happening with real estate?
It's crazy. Everything's going bonkers, as they say. It's you can't keep them on the market 2-3 days and multiple offers. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, well, that's what's happening. I'm in Florida right now.
Uh-huh.
And where I am, if they put something on the market in the morning, it's gone by afternoon.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because there's
Multiple offers.
nothing.
There's
You
nothing.
know, what it is there's nothing around. So
Mhm.
you don't have the competition of new.
Exactly. There's no more land to build. It's
Do you do anything down at the waterfront? Have you done anything?
I have done stuff down there, yes.
So does that any of that go, or is that a slow?
No, everything's moving very, very well everywhere.
You know, because that's what I'm concerned about seeing the buildings fill up.
They're
So-
going up and they're being filled right away, which is very, very good. Very, very.
Yeah. I know that the Avalon one was going pretty well, so
Yes.
that was
Good.
good.
Very good. The new project that's coming up now, that's really, really nice. Lionsgate looks great.
It does, all right.
Really does. How's the
Oh,
weather?
is that the, you know, you can see a piece of Kavanaugh, only at the bottom.
There he is.
Can you guys hear me? I just put a new camera on my computer, so
Oh, yes,
Oh, all
you
right.
can hear.
Well,
Good.
very
That's
good.
Terrific.
yeah, I can see you now.
Yeah, there you go.
So we were just talking about on the waterfront, whether things, how our rentals and everything and ours are going. So at one point, James, we talked about doing a survey to see how our buildings are doing. Since we have a big investment there and since it's a very important place, it would be a very good thing to know what percentage of the buildings are full.
We can definitely formalize a survey. I can tell you that the feedback has been that most of these buildings are actually leasing up sooner than they anticipated in their initial pro formas. So the projects have been pleasantly surprised. I think one of the things has been retention, but I think they've been leasing up very quickly, but we can certainly formalize a survey.
Yes, it would be very good to know. So it would give us an understanding because we've made a big investment on the waterfront. We all have a great deal that's there and high hopes for it.
We certainly will, and we'll run that past you guys. I'll collaborate with you, Seal, on formalizing the survey.
Great, thank you.
We're just waiting for several other board members to jump on. In the meantime, I just want to remind everyone that we are recording and live streaming at the moment.
Well, we've certainly had an adequate amount of meetings today, and I have one I'm conducting at 3:00 for the college. So
I'm confident we'll get you off before 3 o'clock.
it was better because I have to recharge my pad or else it's going to give up.
And we do have a quorum today. We have a sufficient quorum. So if you do need to hop off at some point, you should be able to do that.
All right, great. Well, but we have the EDC after this.
Correct.
Yeah, so I can't right yet.
Good afternoon.
It says that we have 21 participants. Who are all the participants?
So we do. We have a lot of items on today. We have 5 different projects that are on the agenda. So we have some of the principals and their counsel as well.
Oh, great.
We're just checking if the mayor's going to be joining us. So if everyone could just stand by for a moment. If he won't be joining us, then we can start. Give me a moment to confirm. The mayor will be joining shortly, so we're just going to hang for a few minutes while he jumps on.
Looks like the mayor is on.
He's logging in.
I'm talking and didn't realize you guys weren't hearing me. Okay. Okay. Good morning or good afternoon, everybody. Sylvia, you want to start?
Yes, good afternoon. Mayor Mike Spano,
Here.
Pete Kishak,
Here.
Marlon Anderson,
Here.
Melissa Nassarino,
Here.
Cecile Singer,
Here.
Henry Jumbalaj.
Here.
Roberto is out. Mayor, we have a quorum.
Okay, good. Thank you. Do we have minutes that we need to approve?
We do. We have minutes for the December 8th meeting and the February 3rd, 2022 meeting.
Okay, great. So does anybody have any questions of the minutes that they have? Or are there any questions?
A motion.
Hearing no questions, Cecile's made a motion that we accept the minutes.
Okay.
Seconded by Pete. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any negatives? Hearing none, minutes have passed. All right, Sylvia, let's do financial.
Yes, for financials. For the months of August through November, we received agency fees of $478,000. Our cash on hand at the end of November was $3.96 million. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Sylvia. Are there any questions about the financials? Hearing no questions, somebody want to make a motion?
Make a motion.
Pete's made a motion, seconded by Henry. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any negatives? Hearing none, item is passed. Okay, Jamie.
Our next item is the approval of the 2021 audit. We have Cecile Singer here, who is the chair of our audit committee. And I believe we also have Rob Danielle on the line.
Right. So I would like to say, I would like to congratulate all of our personnel. And Jamie, we had a clean opinion, and of course, that's very good. And it was recommended that we submit the approval to our committee, and with the recommendation that it be passed.
Okay. Are there any questions? Somebody like to make a motion? We accept? Henry, you want to make a motion?
Make a motion.
Second by Pete.
Second it.
Okay, thank you. Second by Marlon. All in favor?
Aye.
Any negatives? Hearing no negatives, the items are passed. And thank you to the staff, for as usual, doing a good job. These are important documents, important reports. I know they're a lot of work, but I know you all stay on top of it. So Jim, Jamie, Sibby, to the whole team, thank you. And Cecile, thank you for your hard work too, as always.
Thank you, Mayor. The next item is approval of the PAAA 2021 annual report. This is an ancillary report to our annual audit. In your packets, you have our measurements report. It summarizes the operations and the accomplishments of the Yonkers IDA. It highlights 6 new projects that were closed in 2021. This year, we have 86 active projects. The annual report summary and measurements report, along with the approved annual audit, will be uploaded today to the ABO once approved.
Okay. All right. So are there any questions about the report? Hearing no questions, somebody want to make a motion? We accept the report. Cecile's made a motion, seconded by
Henry?
Second.
Henry. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Negatives? Hearing none, item is passed.
Thank you, Mayor. The next, we roll into our resolutions for consideration. We're going to go a little bit out of order from the agenda. We're going to take item 5 first, which is a resolution authorizing the increase in mortgage recording tax exemption, sales tax exemption, and readoption of the final resolution for KCT Inc., aka CubeSmart. We do have representatives from CubeSmart here. We have Kirk Lewin and Steve Accinelli. We have Michael Curdy, who's representing the transaction. Just to summarize, this request is to increase the previously approved mortgage amount by approximately $2.8 million, resulting in an additional $43,000 in exemption, as well as increase to the sales tax exemption in an amount of $39,000. The project indicated that subsequent to the IDA's final approval, as required by land use approval, they were required to provide for additional on-site parking. As a result of inflation and the additional parking requirements, this drove the project costs up by approximately $3 million. We did have a supplemental analysis done on this request, And the conclusion was that the increase had minimal to no impact on the original Camoin report. It does not alter their recommendation for that this project still adds a positive benefit cost ratio to the city. And they do recommend approving the request. Again, we have Michael Curdy here, who's transaction counsel, and representatives from KCT on the line.
Okay, are there any questions? I think it's pretty straightforward. Are there any additional questions? All right, here are no questions. Somebody want to make a motion? Henry? Pete's made a motion, seconded by Henry. All in favor?
Aye.
Any negatives? Yeah, I was passed. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Thanks, Steve.
Thank you. Our next item is an inducement resolution for Warburton Avenue Apartments, LLC. We have Roger Pine, one of the principals from the project, as well as Steve Accinelli here to represent the project. And as always, Michael Curdy here representing the transaction.
Okay. Who wants to start?
Roger and Steve, maybe you start out and then I'll walk the resolution. I'll walk the board through the resolution at the conclusion of that presentation. James, Roger, and yourself.
Sure.
Just on a side note, Steve, just on a side note, Mike Curdy's got a good camera. He's got the best camera of all of us. Just throwing that out there. Sorry.
Private sector, they got lots of money, especially after they pay their bills.
Harris Beach is high tech.
Yes, you're not kidding. Look at him. Jeez, he actually even looks handsome. I mean, well, he looks more handsome.
Thank you.
Hi, Steve.
Good afternoon, Mr. Mayor and every members of the board, everyone. Hey, Jamie. Again, for the record, Steve Accinelli from Veneruso, Curto, Schwartz, and Curto on behalf of the co-developers. This is a project, co-development project involving Cure together with Conifer. In addition, obviously, the city of Yonkers is involved as a partner in as much as a number of the parcels involved with the proposed development are Yonkers owned and city of foreclosure lots. This project proposes the development of a senior affordable housing community that will house 94 units on a 6-story structure on Warburton Avenue. The property is currently, it's existing vacant property. There's a couple of vacant structures that are currently existing. Those structures will be taken down, and in its place will be the development of the 6-story structure. It's a transit-oriented development. It's part of the community redevelopment and revitalization. The project meets the goals of HCR and also providing long-term housing opportunities for seniors in the surrounding community. I'm very excited about the project. In addition, the project will bring fundamental socioeconomic benefits that will further transform the community by providing high-quality, long-term, income-restricted homes for an aging senior population representative of the demographics in the city of Yonkers. Once again, it will be 94 studio and 1-bedroom apartments, 37 studios. There will be 56 1-bedroom and also 1 supers apartment. It will be a state-of-the-art construction project. It will meet NYSERDA standards as well as LEED standards. And I think that summarizes the basics of the project. If there are any questions, I'm here. James Simmons from Cure is here, as is Roger Pine, who is the Vice President of Development for Conifer.
Thank you, Stephen.
Just a few things, Mayor. Yes, thank you, Mayor. Through the chair, just a little bit about the resolution that's before you. It's a little bit more than our typical inducement resolution for a couple of reasons. As Steve indicated, the applicant here is pursuing 9% tax credits from the state of New York. The application deadline is today. So they are anxiously requesting the IDA to approve this inducement resolution so they can make it a part of their application package, which is due later today. In addition, to show the state that there's meaningful progress insofar as acquiring the properties, in addition to the private sites that they've acquired, there's also a local law that's before the city council right now that we have every expectation will be adopted by the city council in the middle part of April. Mayor, to your point yesterday during the State of the City, you pointed out the Point and Ravine project, which is currently under construction. This is a contemplated phase 2 of those improvements made in that corridor. The purchase and sale agreement that is before you is based upon the agreement that the IDA approved last year for Point and Ravine. The city will be receiving $1.99 million from this $1.90 million from this transaction. Any monies received by the IDA will be passed back to the city in the same way was done in the Point and Ravine transaction. The purchase and sale agreement that would be executed today will be contingent on 3 things. One, that the local law is adopted by the city council on or before 12/31 of this year. Also that there is no objection from the state once we send out our customary ABO notices that we are disposing of property, even though the IDA is going to be entitled for a brief moment. We still have to comply with the public authorities law with regard to that matter. And then also the conceptual agreement development plan is agreed to by and between the city and also the developer. So that's the inducement in a nutshell. If there's any questions, again, I'm sure the applicant's more than happy to answer them. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike.
Are there any questions? Okay, this is a continuation of a very exciting project the city entered into a while ago, and we're finally seeing the fruits of all of our labor there. So excited to see this happen. Somebody want to make a motion? We accept?
I'll make a motion.
Emery's made a motion, seconded by Pete. All in favor?
Aye.
Negatives? Hearing none, the item is passed.
Thank
Jamie?
you, Mr. Mayor, members of the board, staff. Thank you.
Thank you.
The next item is an inducement resolution for the Plant Manor LLC. This is a phase 2. We have Ray Ocasio here, part of the project, to do a presentation for the board. I think he's going to share his screen with us.
Hi, yeah, thanks, Jamie. Great, can everybody see my screen?
We see it.
Yes.
All right. Mr. Mayor, members of the board, just want to bring you an update on where we stand with the Manor. I know that when you last met and did an inducement for the project, it was back in 2019, and obviously a lot has happened since then. Now that we're coming out of COVID, some of the delays that occurred back then are now moving forward in full swing, and we are finalizing all our local entitlements with the various boards in the city. The last one being the combined site plan approval from the planning board that will combine both the Manor and the Cliff House, which is an extension out the back of the former Bosch Hall. So I'll do a quick little summary as a reminder of what the project is. The Manor is essentially a sister property to the plant that's also in development and seeking IDA under a separate application, and then the Cliff House itself. So the estate, formerly the William Boyce Thompson estate, as well as the Cliff House, which was the Seton College Bosch Hall, will be converted into an event venue. And then together, the 3 spaces will work together to become a global home for climate solutions where entrepreneurs, inventors, climate solutionists can all work together under the roof of the plant and then convene and have events, curated events at the Manor Cliff House. The Manor, as you know, is about 7 minutes up the road from the plant down at JFK Marina. And the site is right here on North Broadway across from the Lenoir Reserve. It was built by William Boyce Thompson back in the 1920s and has traded hands over the years and is now currently in the possession of the plant. The Sisters Charity run this as Seton College in a dorm. And back in 2019, Bosch Hall, which was immediately behind the Manor, we began the efforts of demolishing that to restore the vistas and the gardens that once were part of the estate. So the current restoration is led by myself and Brian Lindsay from Development and Construction. Many of you have probably met with Leela in the past, and it will be operated by the team of Jim Kirsch and the Abigail Kirsch team. The architects on both the plant and the manor are GKV architects from historic preservation and the new construction. So that's the manor circa 1912, and then the proposed rendering of the improvements with, again, Alder Manor being an historic property being renovated back to its grandeur, and then the grounds behind it and around it. We've gone through landmarks and gotten approval for all the statuaries and other landmarked historical pieces around the property, and this follows that. And then the Bosch Hall, which was formerly here, what remains is the basement levels, which will excavate to make larger and then return the garden above it. So basically a roof deck garden above the structure. So this is kind of looking east from above, and you can see how the event hall will be here. Again, as part of our approved zoning resolution, the property can have events up to 435 people. The manor itself, it doesn't have any spaces large enough. So part of the reason why this is coming before you again is that the Cliff House space will allow for a larger venue to house events up to that size. There's just simply no single room in the manor that could accommodate that. And as part of the zoning resolution, that's a contiguous use perspective. So 435 people across the entire campus, regardless of where they are located. Another view inside the Cliff House. So this is kind of the conditions as you see them today. And then how we look to restore, from a landscaping and gardening perspective, tree terraces, the lawn overlook, an herbal garden that could be used by the on-site kitchens. And then the Cliff House, again, just a little bit details about how it will work towards being built into the cliffside and how the space can accommodate larger venues. This is what it looks like today. And once the improvements are completed. Back lawn looking back. Restoring reviews to the Hudson, and kind of an overview again of the gardens, everything landscaping in place. Some terraces. A lot of this down here is all historic and just showing how it will remain in place. And so the types of events, I mean, traditionally, many of you know that they held lots of, photo shoots, fashion videos, lots of films have been done here. That will continue from a kind of a revenue and operations standpoint, but it'll also be, as I mentioned, a space where people can have weddings, from private weddings and events, screenings, conferences, climate convening. So again, it's the manor will have many of its rooms restored, roughly 28 bedrooms restored, so that they can be overnight guests. It's considered a hotel by zoning perspective, but it's not something that you can book as a one-off. You either booking the entire property for an event, and therefore those rooms become available, like for a wedding, for example, or when climate solutionists and organizations come to work and stay at the plant that may have international locations, they can stay there as part of their membership of the plant. So timeline, in terms of approvals, as I mentioned, many of them are finalized with the exception of the combined site plan. We had the planning approved the original site plan that didn't have the Cliff House, which is also what you saw last time. Now with the Cliff House in there, the combined site plan application is before them and expected to have a resolution hopefully in April. Traffic studies have been done. We've gone through both amendments, the historic tax credits for the manor on both parts 1 and parts 2. As I mentioned, we have Abigail Kirsch working as the operator, GKV as the historic preservation architect, as well as the architect for the Cliff House. Roof work began last year. We're about 80% complete now. If you've driven by, you can see a lot of the work of the slate roof being done as we speak. but the full site construction, which would be this phase of work that we're applying for, which will complete both the manor exterior envelope, interior envelope, as well as the cliff house. We hope to begin sometime in the third quarter of this year and then complete it in end of 2023 with the facility coming online in the first quarter of 2024. A lot of the community support that many of you know that we're looking to work with and collaborate with in terms of the project on both sides, as well as global community that is supportive and likely look at being tenants or sponsors of the plant and the Manor mission. And then just a summary of some of the financials that are in your application. We previously purchased the property. That's not part of this particular increase in numbers, but just need to cite that out. Total cost of construction, 29 million, broken out between 7 million in labor, 22 million in equipment and materials, 2.3 million in non-construction FF&E, soft costs of roughly 17 million for a total of 48 million before acquisition. In terms of how the sources and uses, roughly about 13 million is going to be in equity. 52% of the total cost to be financed. CPACE and historic tax credits will cover the balance. Again, for the total of 48 inclusive of the acquisition. So, and before you were looking to add the sales tax exemption for the hard cost, which is 22 million, mortgage recording tax, which we expect to be about 30.5 million, and then the real property tax abatement pilot of 15 years. Social impact, the plant is a social impact company. Again, we're looking for this to be a center for climate change. Both buildings, the plant and the manor, will be developed and designed to be zero E, zero carbon, so having no carbon footprint, and being completely independent of the grid, either through on-site renewable energy resources or partnering with a community renewable, like a community solar, so that it is 100% carbon neutral. Obviously advancing sustainability, jobs. In the application, we're noting that we'll have 17 full-time jobs and 24 part-time jobs at occupancy opening, roughly generating 100 to 200 construction jobs, or about 228,000 man hours for the power plant. That, from a wages perspective in Yonkers, it's probably from the historic reservation construction component, it's about 4.5 million, and then annual wages in the 2.2 to $3 million a year, with other benefits to surrounding businesses in the $3 to $6 million range within the community of Yonkers. And then from a construction standpoint, local business will probably see somewhere between $10 to $15 million during the period of construction. And that's what I have today, unless there's any questions. I'm happy to answer them.
Okay, pretty exciting project. The only thing I would caution you a little bit on is in your community support document, you have this, I know you don't have the city of Yonkers seal, but you have the city council seal. I don't know if that probably shouldn't be there, only because of the nature of what they do. So just throwing that out there.
No, appreciate it.
But I'm excited about the project, excited what you guys have done. We are patiently awaiting for us to get to the end of this project, because we believe in what you're doing. We want this thing to happen. And some of us are have a little more of an incentive to see it get done a little quicker, because some of us won't be here after after the end of 2023.
Yeah.
So just keep that in the back of your mind. So
no, we're super eager. Obviously, with the entitlements being behind us, we're CPACE lending. If you're not familiar, it's essentially the gap between what a traditional project would be and how it would be financed. But because we have all of the environmental and sustainability efforts and trying to get to zero E, those obviously add significant amount of costs, and CPACE comes in and kind of acts as a gap lender. And so we've already have that in place. We already have historic tax credits in place. And so, yeah, we're ready to get going once we get through these finals approvals and permits in place to proceed with the rest of the construction.
Great. Any questions for anybody on the board? Jamie, what do we have to approve an inducement?
This is just an inducement, so we just need to vote on the inducement. There's no benefit until we have a final.
Okay. All right, we've gone through this, we've been working with you guys for a while, so obviously we're hopeful. We're finally seeing the light of day for you, for your sakes and for ours. So anybody want to make a motion? Cecile's made a motion, seconded by Pete. You all right, Pete, with that? All right. Do we have, okay. How many in the affirmative? All right, any negatives? Hearing none, the item is passed. All right, thank you, Ray. Give our best to Layla.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thanks, Ray.
Thank you, Jamie.
Okay, the next item is also an inducement resolution. This is for St. Clair Development LLC. We have Joe Apicella here to give a brief presentation on the project. I believe he also has counsel on the line, Diana Kolev.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone.
Do we have to hear Joe Apicella?
Not necessarily. I'm going to ask Diana to kick it off, and I'll jump in where necessary, Mr. Mayor.
That's all good, Joe. You know that.
I know.
So.
Okay, so I'll just share my screen.
Sure.
Good afternoon, Mr. Mayor and members of the board. Diana Kolev from the firm of Del Bello, Donnell, Weingarten, Wise, and Whitaker, and yes, Joseph Apicella as well as representative for the applicant, which is St. Clair Development LLC. It is a related entity of McQuestion Development. McQuestion is, as you may know, based in Pelham, New York, and it specializes in financing, designing, and construction management of multifamily affordable housing and commercial properties in New York City and in Westchester County since 1992. So the applicant is seeking to develop a vacant property on the corner of Main Street and Riverdale Avenue, as you can see on here. It's about 1/4 of an acre, and it's located within the city's Riverview Urban Renewal Plan area. A portion of this property is currently owned by the Yonkers Community Development Agency. There is an LOI in place, and the Community Development Agency has designated the applicant as a qualified and eligible sponsor. The remaining portion of the property is owned by the applicant. So the project is a 10-story mixed-use multifamily building with ground floor commercial space and 76 100% affordable units. These units will be occupied only by persons of low income with household income ranging from 40% to 80% AMI. The breakdown, I know might be a little too small to see. It's 5 3-bedroom units, 23 2-bedroom, 36 1-bedroom, and 12 studios. The site plan approval has already been issued, and that happened back in February. The benefits that we're requesting from the agency is a 30-year pilot, as well as a sales and use tax exemption based on 17.7 million of taxable purchases. We are not requesting a mortgage recording tax exemption at this time. So the project contemplates financing from the state through HFA, the county, and city home funds, but it is still not feasible without the assistance of the agency. The project will provide tangible benefits to the city. There would be 240 temporary construction jobs over a 28-month construction period, 20 full-time jobs at management and retail. And the project will also further the city's goals to provide quality, affordable housing, revitalize the downtown, and eliminate blight as envisioned in the urban renewal plan. The applicant also proposes to and has has actually executed an agreement for the remediation of the contamination at the project site through the DEC Brownfield cleanup program. So we respectfully request that the board take action today to induce the project. And if there's anything further that Joe has, thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Diana. I'll just add, that was an excellent job, but I'll just add that our development anticipates this project being an enterprise green communities. It'll be a LEED Silver project. We build all of our projects to be sustainable over time. Both the materials and the uses within the building, bike racks and the like, will help to encourage pedestrian access and usage throughout the downtown, a lot of walking. We want to encourage that downtown vibrance. We also have a few thousand square feet of retail space that we envision as both a coffee shop and a cafe, and some other personal uses such as we're looking at the dry cleaners and the like. Now, this corner, Mr. Mayor, as you're aware of Riverdale on the southwest corner, is one of those critical gateways into the waterfront downtown. And I'm really happy and proud to say that we work collaboratively with the Landmarks Board in their capacity, as this was in a historic district. And they made some really nice upgrades and improvements to the facade of the building, including the incorporation of actual brick, not brick veneer, into this building. So visually, I think it's so critical at that corner, at that gateway, to have an iconic building. And I think what you're going to see is an iconic building. Diana also mentioned to the board and to you, Mr. Mayor, that this is a brownfield cleanup program project that's already been induced into the program. And we're really excited about this. We think this project brings in that downtown, with the thousands of new market rate luxury units, a bit of a balance that's necessary from a socioeconomic standpoint. And we're excited about coming back to Yonkers and doing work with you and this city. I can tell you that the entitlement process has been terrific. I can't say that about every community I've been in, but it has been a real, not easy, but quick process. I wanted to let you know that. Thank you.
Okay, let's, I got a couple of quick questions, and I'm sure that some of the members of the board may have some questions. Explain to me this 40 to 80%.
Sure.
Talking city
Diane, you
AMI,
want me to-
county AMI, how many apartments, I need some details.
Sure. So the income ranges, brackets, if you will, for this project, Mr. Mayor, ranges from 80% of average median income, which is approximately $104,000 of income per family, down to 40%, which would be a $40,000 income now for family. Now, this is a what we call a blended income project. So you're going to have people here that are making between $80,000 and $100,000 a year. These are people who are, blue collar workers, white collar workers, a real mix of people who are all working. These are people who are gainfully employed, and this is a mix of people that economically have disposable income. They're vibrant and contribute to the community, and they reach a much needed demographic in the southwest area of Yonkers.
And what's the count though? I mean, is there, if the first, 100 people that come to your door are all big 40,000, that's what's what?
No, we're breaking down 20% would be at that level, 23% at 50% of AMI, 37% of 60% AMI, and 20% of 80% of AMI.
No, I'm sorry. I'm not trying to be difficult. Can you just give that to me again?
Sure. So at 40% of AMI, average median income, let's say incomes of 45,000, 20% of these units, so 20% of 76 units would be at that income level. 23% would be at 50% of average median income, about 55 to 60,000 in income. 37%, the lion's share, would be about $60,000 to $65,000 in income. And then another 20%.
What percentage of that?
And then
What
another
percentage
20% would be at 80%, about $85,000 to $90,000 would be their annual income. Is that helpful?
Yeah, and no 100%?
No.
Why not?
Well, because what that would do, Mr. Mayor, is preclude the possibility, because the blended average has to be below 60% to get the funding we need, in this case, from the county and the state. So to get that amount of funding for a project like this, it would disqualify us from being able to get that funding. And that funding is very significant.
I was just under a different impression. I thought it was going to be a different type of structure. What other questions? Anybody else have any other questions?
I have a question, Mayor.
Yeah.
I have a question about 30 years. I mean, I think we discussed in the past to try and reduce that. Because in 30 years' time, that place is going to need to be rebuilt again.
I'm sorry, was there a question?
It's actually to the board.
Oh, I'm sorry.
We have gotten away from 30-year pilots on any kind of market rate projects. We just don't do them anymore. And on a lot of projects, particularly commercial projects, we're bringing them down to as short as 10 years. The difficulty with the 100% affordable projects is that they don't always work at 20 years. And a lot of times the lenders want the pilot to run with the financing. Maybe Joe can talk about that, but you know, we're not fans of 30-year pilots. I think we felt we had to do it in this particular case, but maybe Joe, you could go into that a bit.
That's exactly right, because the affordability has to, if you're getting financed through the HCR, Housing Community Renewal, there's again a requirement. You're dealing with a lot of requirements. One of which is that the pilot itself, the payment in lieu of taxes, extends for at least that same period of time. And so that's why we're doing it. In the case of market rate, we wouldn't, Peter, we wouldn't even have this discussion.
Yeah. And to Joe's point, if I may, Mayor, through the chair, one thing we've actually been seeing in the affordable space is that most of the financing has been 32 to 33 years, Pete. So, I mean, it's actually beyond, you know, that period of time. And for the most part, most of the affordable deals, you know, when you get to the end of the term, there's usually some sort of refinancing. There's usually some sort of improvements that are made to the project. And so there's another request for an extension. So in order to keep those buildings affordable, you have to provide a pilot, you know, to them for, you know, forever long it is affordable.
No, I get it. I do. And I'm not trying to give anybody a hard time here, but you know, Cecile and I have been on this board a long time, and we've seen that place on Yonkers Avenue come before us a couple times.
Right.
Next to the Sawmill Parkway, right, Cecile?
Yes, yes. So this certainly is a major development in our affordable housing stock. And so we're very pleased to see it. We continue to have significant needs, and our city has been very responsive to those needs, as the IDA and has also. So we're pleased to see this. We hope that with this development, there will be a significant amount of people who will benefit and long term. And so, and what are the total number of units? Can you repeat that again?
Yes, there would be a total of 76 units.
76 units.
And how tall you said the building was?
10 stories.
10 stories, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, right. So, all right, so there's 76 units. And then in the category, in the 20% of the 45,000, how many units would that be?
Approximately 15.
15?
I mean, I just did the calculation.
Right. And in this 37%, how many units would there be? In the 60 to 65?
Do you have that, Diana? You're much better at math than I am.
It's about 28 units.
About 20. Right, and
I-
in the 20% that are the 85 to 90,000.
Oh, well, I think that would be the same as it's a 20%, so it would be another 15.
And I wanted to, and I also wanted to respond to one of the mayor's comments earlier. Mayor, if there is a way, and I'm going to go and verify that, to bump up some of those units into the 100% category and not disqualify financing, we will do that.
Okay. Do you guys absolutely need this now? Can we wait till the next meeting? Right, there are some questions
Mhm.
I have.
I'm going to defer to you, Mr. Mayor. We from a timing perspective, we're going to the county and the state, so the inducement is helpful. It's not final, obviously, in and of itself. We have to have a project agreement. And maybe, I guess what I'm asking is maybe between this and a project agreement, we can have more discussion before that's done.
When are you going to the county?
Well, we need to get this package to them and the state within the next 2 weeks, 3 weeks. How does that work in your scheduling?
I don't even mind having a special meeting. I have some questions and I
Okay.
don't, so, I mean, it looks exciting. It's a project I want to do. But I have some questions. So,
okay.
I think that we ought to table it for the moment, and we could always come back. We can come back, like I said, special meeting if we have to, but I'd like to maybe get Jim and Jamie, and yourself. Let's have a discussion very, very quickly about this.
Okay.
Go back to the board. There's some questions.
Will do.
All right, so we put. Let's lay that one aside. Jamie, which one do you have?
So we are on to our last resolution, which is a final resolution for 1969 Central Park Avenue LLC. We have Michael Curdy here to represent the transaction for this final. I believe we also have Mark Fonte on the line.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I'll just walk through the resolution very quickly, and then I'll turn it over to Mr. Fonte to make a brief presentation. And there's also a cost-benefit analysis for the board to consider that will be presented by the executive director. This project, as you may recall, was induced at a previous meeting. It involves the construction, improving and equipping of a 5-story self-storage facility of approximately 91,181 square feet and ground floor retail space of 5,815 square feet, located on 1969 Central Park Avenue. Now, there are a couple of legal matters that I think the board needs to consider, and I'm going to go through them with the board as part of this presentation. The first is, as a threshold matter, the City Council amended the zoning code at the request of the self-storage industry, and with this particular project in mind back in 2018, to allow self-storage facilities in the retail corridors of the city, specifically Central Park Avenue, provided that such facilities have ground floor retail as part of it. I will note that typically the IGA cannot provide financial assistance for those projects that are greater than a third retail. And of course, this would be considered as 100% retail between the self-storage facility and also the ground floor retail. However, there is an exception within the Act that allows the IDA to consider those projects which are defined as tourism destinations. And you have to look within the definition for what a tourism destination is. And what a tourism destination is a location or facility which is likely to attract a significant number of visitors outside the economic development region as established by Section 230 of the Economic Development Law in which the project is located. Our economic development region is the Hudson Valley. And what the applicant has to prove is that their location is one that will attract a significant number of visitors from outside of the Hudson Valley. And that could come from Connecticut, it can come from points north of the Hudson Valley, it can come from New York City or Long Island. There is one case of note which has interpreted the state legislature's intent in authorizing the tourism destination exception. It's matter of Escalo 5000 Maine LLC versus the town of Amherst Industrial Development Agency. In that case, the court found that the applicant must make a showing that the project location or the facilities would likely cause visitors to come from outside of the economic development region and not just come to the economic development region for any number of reasons independent of the project. And one example that we often give is if you were to go to a wedding and you were to patronize a particular hotel, as they did in Escalo, the basis cannot be, I'm in town for the wedding, and oh, by the way, I stay at this hotel. It's that the hotel is the attraction for you to go to the location. In this case, the applicant, by way of an affidavit that they have provided, and that was a part of the public hearing minutes, has indicated that based on a pool size of 1,000 current customers of another facility, another self-storage facility located within the city of Yonkers, 80% of the customers of that facility come from either the Bronx or New York counties or the state of Connecticut. One important thing for the board to consider is that when the city council adopted its zone change back in 2018, one of the reasons that they allowed the self-storage facility to be located in the retail corridor is that a number of patrons were less inclined to go to industrial or light industrial sections of the city where our self-storage facilities are located, and more inclined to patronize location that's located in a retail portion of the city. I'll also note that the board members are well aware that Central Park Avenue has long been one of the primary retail corridors of the city. And because of its location to New York City, it has always been a draw for customers coming from New York to Central Park Avenue. So between the affidavit and that research that the applicant has provided, I just wanted to provide the board some context and some things to consider as part of the findings that are located within the resolution. Thank you.
Okay, are there any questions?
Mayor, yeah.
Yes.
So in our planning, is this the highest and best use of the property? I mean, when we look at property in a retail corridor where there are many choices, is this what we want to do in the retail corridor? And what does our city plan indicate?
I can say that the planning department did recommend this zoning change back in 2018. At the time.
You're muted, Mike. Mike, you're muted.
Sorry about that. I can say that at the time, as with any zoning amendment that the city council undertakes, there is a recommendation from the planning board, and there was a recommendation from the planning board at that time. I believe that there was some concern about the viability of Central Park Avenue, and there was a little bit of reimagining Central Park Avenue in the future. As many of you know, Amazon and other types of those types of uses have really made some inroads on retail, and so expanding the types of retail uses on Central Park Avenue was meant to sort of address those issues.
Yeah, I mean, there was one thing that concerns me, and I would express this to the developer. We are reimagining Central Avenue, and we see that Central Avenue will probably be, the millennials coming in and having this, live, work, and play in communities that will have offer, retail, entertainment, and living, centers all across Central Avenue, and I see that happening. So I am concerned about what Central Avenue can become what it looks like, what we put there, what it looks like. The thing that we've been talking about the developer is, giving the fact that that is kind of a gateway to one of our very beautiful neighborhoods in our community. It's also Central Avenue, and it's on a corner. I think we all express concern that we don't. While we understand that storage facilities have a need, especially in today's world, what's it going to look like? We don't want it to look like a storage facility. Certainly don't want a big red cube building there, or a big yellow building with a big smiley face on it, or something, or anything like that. We had gotten some assurances from the developer that that wouldn't be the case. Do we have any renderings at all? What it would potentially look like?
We had submitted a rendering a while back, but we're working on the design. After I, talked to you last time, you want to make sure it was a beautiful building. I intend to do that. We added a lot of greenery, and also this is not just a storage facility. There's approximately 5,800 square feet of retail with a drive-through. We also added a very nice green feature, which is a Tesla supercharging station on the site to charge cars. There is some outdoor seating also, and we think that we're going to get a coffee shop, Starbucks, on the corner inside the development, and that's going to actually, bring another element to just a store. It's not just a plain storage facility that you see down at Sapper Way. This is going to be something with a little more of a lively place to go, and it's going to have a nice retail feature to it, which I think is going to attract a lot of people to the site.
And I hear you, Mark, on that, and I know because your family's restaurant was there. I mean, but you understand now how that hill goes up and wraps around this building, and so everyone, the unusual, I guess, the unusual thing about this particular piece of property is that people are going to be driving their cars from the top of that building to the bottom of the building, right? Which we wouldn't normally see in places in Yonkers and certainly on Central Avenue. So, so we're going to get more attention on that building, more eyes going to be in that building, more people are going to be critical of us and what we, what we've given tax incentives for. So,
and I'm gonna try to make you proud and make sure we deliver a building that is welcoming and not just like a tin can. Just like we just did a project in our shell, and it came out fabulous. So everybody was very happy, and that was a gateway also in the corner building. And
it's important it doesn't look like a storage facility. I
absolutely
fair to say. Any questions from anybody else on?
Do you have final site? I'm sorry, Mark. Do you have final site plan approval on this from the planning board?
I have planning board site plan approval. I have zoning board approval, and I have a current permit to do superstructure.
All right. So to get the planning board approval, I assume you submitted a rendering or something, right?
Correct. Yes, we did. It's in your package. And we also did a plant design with trees and grass in the front and lighting package, which is in the rendering. Correct.
All right. So that rendering, we should be able to make it available to the board, I would think, at some point.
Absolutely. I did submit it in the package.
Yeah, I don't think we got it though.
Okay. Do we have it, Jamie?
Well, none of us have seen it.
Hang on one second. We're working on getting that up for you. Stand by.
I have a question. Mayor, may I ask a question?
Go ahead.
How did I miss this? How many stores are there going to be?
Michael Curry?
I'm not sure how many
like
stores there are going to be, but there's about 5,100 square feet of ground floor retail. Most of the site is going to be the storage facility, which is about 91,000 square feet.
So that's right. So the retail is a tiny, tiny part of it, really. So what you're looking at is a use on Central Avenue and what it does to the surrounding areas and what it says to other retail establishments. I mean, we have to be concerned about what's contiguous to it, what we hope for. And it's a real concern to take a storage facility and put it into a viable retail corridor. And what kind of a message does that send?
Can you just, Mark, is there a storage facility that's right up, like right there that I think it's Clutter or something? Isn't it one right there? Off of Central Park Avenue already that?
I think that's on the side street, correct. That's kind of like a further south, but it's not really on Central Avenue, yes.
Yeah, it's
And
like
also
a little off, yeah.
correct.
So we have one in that area.
Cecilia, I hear what you're saying, but I'm not as worried about it if it's done in a way that in a tasteful way where, well, listen, we're all going to take a lot of heat from the people that live up the block. We all know that. But more to your point, it's also what kind of message does it send? And I don't have a problem with the storage facility. I might even want to use one day. But the question is, how's it look? And there it is.
Here we go, Mayor. We're going to zoom in on that one for you.
So it looks like to me, it could be like several stores, several small stores.
Correct. It could be several stores. Right now we have 5 of them, stores depicted in the picture. There's also a drive-through in the back of the building. So that's why the retail is a little smaller. It's approximately 5,800 square feet, I believe, the retail. And the corner store to the left would be the drive-through, like the Starbucks would be there in the corner. That's why it's a little bit smaller retail location, because of obviously the ground floor encompasses the drive-through in the rear and the staging area for the storage facility to go upstairs and to park your car and bring your belongings upstairs. And the whole front, which is approximately 30 or 40 feet, is a green grass area in front of the storage facility. So this is really set back into the hill, and there is a patch of, like I said, at least 30 feet of grass and trees that wrap around that whole corner of Heights Drive, which makes it, a little more vibrant and almost like an office park, so to speak.
Well, businesses want to actually lease those spaces. This is kind of hidden and people can't see it from Central Park Avenue, because that's the draw of a business being very visible from a space.
I think that the two things that are going to be drivers for the extra space, which is not that much, you're going to have a Starbucks, which is going to bring a lot of people there. And you're going to also have a Tesla supercharging station, which is going to bring another component of it. So I think that, filling up the rest of the space is not going to be a problem. We already have a few people looking at the space. We have a bank, another tenant that's looking at the leftover space. So I don't foresee that being a problem, filling that space.
Okay. It doesn't look like a storage unit.
I have to agree with you, Mayor. It looks like an office building.
Right.
Correct.
Which is what we wanted, and I very much
Correct.
appreciate that.
Correct. And we did the in and out like you wanted, and obviously, yielded us less square footage upstairs, but obviously we wanted to have that kind of not just a square box on top. So we did do kind of an in and out kind of a facade, and believe me, we'll make it look nice also on the outside with the greenery and the grass, the flowers, and make you proud to come there. And we do have a courtyard in front of the stores too, which we have some seats, outdoor seats, so you can have a cup of coffee outside and eat your lunch and so on and so forth, which I think will be really nice.
Any other questions for anybody?
I still have a significant concern, because it's still bringing something to Central Avenue. You have other merchants that are all around this area. I don't know what kind of a message we're sending. It's a vibrant retail area. It's an important street in our city. And so I know that the developer is making a significant effort to try to make it fit and to try and make it a viable space, but I have a real concern.
Any other? Go ahead, Mark, do you have anything to say?
I'm here to answer any questions. I'm sorry.
No, I'm just saying what Cecile made a statement. I want to see if you guys had anything to say about it. That's all.
I mean, I think that, I don't think she has, in my opinion, I think that this went through city council also, and there's a vibrant need to do storage in a, not an industrial area. I think people feel more comfortable going to a retail store, going upstairs and storing their belongings. I think that being, the proponent, having the retail on the ground floor is one of the things that even city council suggested, that it be a mixed use project. So I really think that this is going to be a plus. Also, the retail stores that are on Central Avenue need storage for themselves. So I'm sure they're going to use some of the bins, like you said, to store some of their merchandise in order to facilitate their businesses. So it's going to be a mixed use property, but I think it's going to be a viable location and place.
Cecile, would you be more, I don't know, be more excited about if it was red brick or something?
It's right. It may be, but my real concern is what's all around this area and how do merchants feel about it. Everybody has gone through a very difficult period with COVID, and a lot of people have stuck with us, and they're anticipating that things will change. And so who will it attract in the daily work of a retail corridor? So that's what concerns me.
Mayor? I just want to say, I was, when I first seen the project, I'm not a big fan of storage units, but the way this is situated with stores underneath, that's not what we've seen in the past with these type of storage places. We're seeing something different now. And I think the gentleman brings up a good point about people going to storage units and worried about, they are in industrial areas and people going in. This might be a new concept of storage units with stores underneath it. I'm impressed with the site.
Thank you.
The way it looks, and it doesn't look like a storage unit. It looks like an office building to me.
Yeah, I agree. And as long as those reds aren't bright reds, Mark, so that, because I know, like, storage units like to put these bright, big lit up buildings, and we would like to not see that. But and if the color scheme could be that of an office building, that would be very, very helpful to us. And I also think that in the ever-changing world, the millennials use storage facilities. This is a big deal to millennials. It wasn't a big deal to boomers, but it is to them. And so maybe having some of this available to them, at least I think having some of this available to them is a good thing. I do understand what Cecile is saying, but I think that if we build the structure in a way where it doesn't look like we've just cheapened Central Avenue, and I think Mark has accomplished that, I think it can work. But that's my opinion.
I agree.
Thank you.
Back of the building, there's a mountain in the back there, so you really don't see it, the way you would see it if it was standalone. So it blends in with the mountain in the back also.
Yeah, Henry, but remember, and that's why I wanted to spike up this conversation. We're going to hear those people up there as they come down the hill. So, you going to put solar panels on that roof?
Actually, I'm actually, it's funny you say, because I'm looking at trying to do that for the roof. I haven't found the right vendor, but that's one of the things we're thinking about doing. We're also doing an all electric building with heat pumps and heat efficiency and stuff like that. So we are trying to plan on doing that. I'm actually asking even Tesla if they would, and Starbucks, to add some solar to the roof.
I mean, I just know from buildings adjacent to you, that's a sought after spot for solar panels.
Correct.
Are there any other questions? Thank you, Jamie. You can take that down. So.
Thank you.
Fiona, you can pull that down. Thank you.
Okay. If there are no other questions,
Mayor, we just have one final thing. I just need to give you a brief recap on the analysis that we performed for this project.
great, that'll be good.
The third-party economic and fiscal impact analysis that we performed was provided to the board in your packets. This analyzed the project's request for benefits. The determination was that the requested mortgage recording tax exemption, sales tax exemption, and a abbreviated 15-year pilot allowed this project to be viable and still had a positive benefit to cost ratio to the city. The benefit cost ratio to the city is $2.23 for every dollar in exemption.
Okay. Cecile, we're gonna, I would imagine someone's gonna put this, make a motion, we accept it. Are you going to, I'm not gonna ask, are you gonna strongly oppose that? Just, or are you?
If it is the sense of the board that they are going to support it, then I will not oppose it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank
You
you.
know, it's something I have a big concern about, but I will not oppose.
And I appreciate that. And I completely respect your opinion. That's why I didn't want to push forward if you're going to really oppose this. Thank you, Cecile. Anybody want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion, Mayor.
Pete's made a motion, seconded by Henry. All in favor?
Aye.
Any negatives? Hearing none. Mark, please make it look like it belongs.
I'll
Promise.
make you and the board proud. Thank you. I promise.
Thank you.
Thank
so
you
much.
for your help. Appreciate it. Thank you for the board and everybody's help, Jamie, and the whole board. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for your investment.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hey, Jamie.
Okay, that was our last item of business. I have no other business. I don't know if Michael Curdy has any other updates.
No updates. Thank you.
Okay, there are no updates. Is there any new business before us?
We have no new
I
business.
know that Peter is leaving us, so it'll probably be his last meeting. And Pete has been here for going back to at least Bromacon, maybe John Spencer.
Long time.
Yeah, he's been a fantastic member. Has led Yonkers through all of its redevelopment, and we're gonna miss you, Pete.
Well,
I say thank you for all your service, man.
well, it was an honor to be on this board. It really has been. Thank you very
Yeah,
much.
right. I will miss you personally. You have always been a wonderful member, and I always could look to you, you know, find out what you're thinking, which was always very good thing.
Well, it was always in the best interest of Yonkers. And again, I appreciate the honor of being on the board, and thank you very much.
It was an honor to have you on the board. Thanks for serving with me through at least my 3 terms. And there won't be a 4th term, so I'll be retiring not long after you. Thanks.
Then we'll meet again, Mayor.
Yeah, that's it. Nobody want to make a motion to adjourn?
I'd like to make that motion.
Pete made that motion, seconded by Marlon. All in favor? Any negatives? We're adjourned. Thank you.